The title of this video is Daily Achievement. When you're working in industry, as an engineer, as an engineering researcher, or just generally, achieving something every day is actually very important for a number of reasons. First, it makes you feel like you're actually moving forward. You're working towards things, there's a destination, there's a certain path you're following, and you're taking those steps. If you can just get that small prize, you'll feel like you're getting somewhere. Now, I've worked in several roles. I'm going to talk through some examples of small wins. Once upon a time, I was a general firefighter, and I got to drive around in one of these Isuzu trucks, and they held 2,000 litres of water. One day I was doing a planned burn, and I put over 6,000 litres into a large old tree that a sea eagle was nesting in. The fire consumed the tree, but we put so much water into the tree that we were able to save the limb on which the sea eagle had its nest. We got in one day, and we achieved that by the end of the day. And we knew that the people who lived nearby that came to see that sea eagle would see that we'd been able to preserve its home. That was very satisfying, and it felt like a win. Another example. When I was a software engineer, I implemented one feature every day, and I talked to my boss about it at the end of every day. Sometimes I implemented more than one, so I had a backup just in case it sometimes took more than a day. But I wanted to always be able to show my boss and show the company they were paying me every day and they were getting something for their money every single day. I was working with them, trying to achieve things. Now, that can be really difficult to do. Sometimes pieces of work take a really long period of time, but break them down into their component pieces and do your best to always be able to show yourself and your manager you're making progress and they're getting value for money every day. I used to be a manager in state government, and I supervised an old guy who wrote a document every day. We discussed it every morning the next day, and he was absolutely amazing. He'd been working in state government for 40 years. His wealth of experience, his ability to produce plans and strategies, he could produce solutions to problems that I had no idea how to solve, and it was fantastic working with him. When he retired, we're still good friends, but he stayed ahead of me. You know, I was producing things for him to do. He'd just be wrapping it up, keeping ahead. Once he got ahead, he was able to work on other bits and pieces that he had on the back burner. But if you can stay ahead of your boss, then it means that, you know, the relationship is fantastic, and your boss can trust people to deliver. One thing that I've often implemented at various workplaces is to send a fortnightly email to my boss. I talk about documentation, products, ideas that I've worked on. I also talk about who else I've talked to. So I develop a document, here's a draft of it, I've worked on it with these people, A, B and C. I've had a meeting about this with these other people, A, B and C. The advantage of doing this every fortnight is when it comes time for a performance review, you do a search in your email and you see every single fortnight for the year, these are the documents I worked on, these were the people that I talked to. It's then a very easy task to look against your KPIs, your key performance indicators, and map those key performance indicators into all this documentation. If you don't keep a record like this, you can get to the end of the year and suddenly think, oh, I've been working on this project for the last month, it's been really intense. What on earth did I do with my last 11 months? So having that discipline, keeping that on track every fortnight is a really powerful tool, and it also gives your supervisor confidence that they can see what's going on with you. Transparency is really important. Your boss's opinion of you matters. Your boss needs to see that you're performing, that you're delivering for the organisation. If your boss thinks you go away in a back corner and do your thing. They don't actually know if you're producing. If you suddenly pop out and check in with something and it doesn't work, well, are they really going to trust that you're doing the right thing? You're only as good as your last job. And your boss is the one that you want a good reference from. And you're going to get a good reference if you're performing and if they can see that you're performing. So it's not just about doing the job. It's about showing your manager and proving to your manager that you're doing the job. And they understand that. Finally, in every workplace, there will be surprises. The unexpected always happens in workplaces, especially large organisations. People want to know when they're surprised why they didn't know earlier. And there are all sorts of surprises. There can be costs to commercial off-the-shelf software, COTS, software or COTS systems. Oftentimes, your company will be looking for a fast solution. They'll get you to look for a product rather than develop one because that's, in theory, faster. And then they'll expect that you can just take it off the shelf and implement it at the organisation. Do not underestimate configuration costs. They can run literally into the millions of dollars, and organisations have failed because of configuration. If you're putting in a system, do not underestimate the data integration costs. Really think about the way things are migrated into the system and how everything has to fit. As I've told you in a previous lecture, what is it? How does it fit? And is it good? Okay, it's the fit that oftentimes catches people out. Okay, there's going to be surprises, and sometimes you're going to be put in a position where you'll surprise your boss. But if you've developed that relationship with them, that they're confident that you're producing, they've got transparency into what you're achieving, and they can see that you've got those small wins ticking over, then with that as a foundation, they'll be able to react to the surprises much better, and maybe they'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It matters.